Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Austin McCulloh on the line, and he is the consultant and founder over at Austin McCulloh Advising. Austin, welcome to the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, Adam.
So excited to get into today's topic, how to attract and retain Gen Zers, the audience. I mean, it's a big deal. A lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives listening that would like to do just that. Before we get into that, though, let's start with what you're doing over at Austin McCulloh Advising. Tell us a little bit more about your business, please.
Absolutely. So what we are is we're a human capital consulting firm, and we focus on two main areas. The first is helping individuals with accelerating their career. And so what we do is we focus on areas such as dissecting their own psychology to help them go from thinking to executing. We do leadership development. There are a whole lot of bosses in the world, not enough leaders. We also help them start their own businesses and then work on their own professional branding, the way that they present themselves in a global competitive market, because now we're not just competing with people in the United States, we're also competing with people across the globe. The other side of the business is the business development, and that's like what you mentioned before. One thing that I like to focus on a lot is creating cohesiveness and collaboration between the older employees and executive managers, et cetera, as well as the younger Generation Z employees, because of course you don't want to have a segmented business.
That's awesome. And I think that's a great transition to get us into the broader topic, which is how to attract and retain the Gen Z audience. How do we do it? Tell us, Austin.
Absolutely. So the first part that I wanted to really hit on is that this younger generation is very entrepreneurial. Even myself, for example, I'm a 23-year-old. This is now my second successful business that I'm operating. And that just shows that everyone wants to contribute. So a good way to really motivate these younger Generation Z employees is to show them that they are contributing. Everybody wants to have purpose in the world. They don't want to just go through the motions. They want to understand and realize that what they're doing has a positive impact on the world. And so when organizations can allow them to do so, this helps show them that they do have a purpose.
That's awesome. So now let's say that an organization is trying to, they're saying, okay, so now, how do they do that? How do you help bring that into the culture in an organization of showing you have purpose?
Absolutely. So, sometimes the term good communication or that whole topic is thrown around and it's very vague, but just simply having the managers communicating effectively to their people and showing the reason behind what they're doing. So even if that's a project and say it's a team of human resources individuals, showing that the people that they're hiring are going to be impacting the world, whether, of course, each business model is completely different, showing them and actually explaining to them with specific details of how the work that they're doing is putting out a positive benefit rather than just saying, go do the work for no reason. And
I want to take a step back just for a moment. So let's talk more about the attracting part of things. So how do you there's a lot of professions out there that are they're not attracting the talent they want because people just aren't really interested in going into it. What do you do in that situation? How does a business or company make themselves more attractive to that Gen Z audience?
By making it clear to these employees that they have freedom. One thing that I've noticed is a reoccurring theme of something that these younger employees don't like is that when they have to show up and they have to abide by rules that don't make sense. For example, many companies are focused on just putting in the time rather than actually producing the results. So if you tell your employees, we want you to be producing these results, yes, of course, you want them to show up to work and work the time that they're allotted, but allow them to be flexible. Especially in more populated cities, traffic comes into play. And of course, you can plan for that, but don't completely ridicule your employee for being 15 minutes late, especially if they're going to be staying 15 minutes later in the day. They want to have their freedom. We're used to having our phones in our pockets and being able to dictate much of our lives on our own. So give them the freedom, because if you try to control them too much, they're going to create mental barriers that are going to create separation in the organization.
No, 100%. Makes a lot of sense. So the old days of just punching in and punching out just because it's a rule, I mean, it's just changed. When you think about for everybody listening, and so that don't work with a lot of Gen Zers or millennials even, just think about this to put in perspective. If you're going out to happy hour or something on a Friday or something else, hanging out with your buddies, and they're working from home a day or two a week, and they have all these other things, that they're doing just as much work, many times more work, because they value their flexibility. You just have to think about how those conversations are being had offline that don't have to do with your company. So if all their friends are have a whole different setup, and then they're listening to them and saying, "Whoa, I couldn't work in a place like that. What? They reprimanded you, or it was weird because you were there. You were late 10 minutes." I mean, those are the conversations that are being had, whether you know it or not, because that's the current workforce we're in. Am I off, Austin, or is that? I mean, it's common sense to me, but I don't think everybody listening gets that part of things on the workforce.
Yeah, no, you're completely spot on. And that's why I brought up communication. A lot of people think that communication is just being a good speaker. That's something that I thought for the longest time, is that if you're articulate with your words, you're a great communicator. And honestly, that's not half as significant as just being a good listener. Everybody has heard the term, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So you need to actually listen to what your people have to say, which actually leads into another point, is this younger generation, they want to know that you care about them. I've, of course, with my other business, an online hiring agency, I've hired tutors for my business. And sometimes, like what you just mentioned, some things seem like common sense to you and very apparent, but it's not that way to everybody. So maybe one of your employees does a good job, so make it clear, compliment them. People appreciate that. And also understand what motivates your people. Everybody is motivated by different things. Some people are motivated by money, some people more by freedom, some people by simply respect. So just showing that you care and getting to know your people will allow them to be much more productive and effective for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Austin, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on working with you or learning more about your work, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to our website at austinmcculloh.com. Let me spell that for you really quick. So it's AustinMcculloh.com. You can also reach out to me at austinmcculloh.com. That's my email. And then also through all forms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I keep it very consistent at Austin McCulloh. So I'm pretty easy to find online. And of course, anyone is more than welcome to reach out to me to learn more.
Fantastic. And final question, Austin, what's the right type of client and or company that you like working with, so that they know that they're the right people to be giving you a call?
So what first comes to mind for me is someone who's receptive and someone who looks at money flowing in and out as an investment rather than a cost. There aren't many things in life that are just pure cost, and I want someone who's willing to invest in themselves, which will propel their career forward or propel their business forward. A lot of people, they're closed off and they have a scarce mindset, which of course can be improved. There's nothing that can't be fixed. But somebody who's receptive to change and wants to live a more fulfilled life for themselves or have a more fulfilling business.
Fantastic. Well put, Austin. Well, hey, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about all the great work you're doing and helping employees. And thanks for the tips today on how employees can attract and retain Gen Zers. It's a big deal. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review on the Apple iTunes store. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but leave us some comments in the video. I love to keep the conversation going and your thoughts on what's going on with Gen Zers in the employment or in the workplace. And Austin, thanks again for coming on the show.